Hey, what's going on guys? RVZ Stealth here, and in today's video, I'm going to give you my opinion on the best mid lane champions for Season 4, patch 4.17. So first up, I have Akali. Pros to Akali are she's got really insane burst with her combo. She can get it off really easily because they are all point and click abilities, so it's guaranteed damage and it's guaranteed a lot of damage. She has resets on her ultimate, so if she picks up kills, she can just jump from target to target and burst down her enemies really quickly. With her Shroud and her Zhonya's, once she finishes that off, she becomes really hard to kill because she can jump in, melt an enemy, pop down her Shroud, and if the enemy team doesn't have pink ward, she can just sit in her Shroud, and if they do have pink ward, she can just use her Zhonya's, and she becomes really hard to kill because of that. She's super easy to play because she does not have any skill shots. She snowballs really hard. Once she gets her Gunblade and her Zhonya, she gets a really big power spike and she just starts to melt enemies. She's a great roamer, especially at level 6. You want to be roaming with Akali if you're ahead in lane because she can pick up a lot of kills and help her lanes out really well with her ultimate. It's really hard for enemies to escape an Akali because of her ultimate. If she has 3 charges on it, then it's going to be really hard for them to get away. And she counters Yasuo really hard because if Yasuo has his tornado ready, she can just pop down her Shroud, and unless Yasuo buys a pink ward, he will not be able to ult Akali. Cons to Akali are she is countered by pink wards, so if you are playing against an Akali, then I would definitely advise picking up a pink ward and having one in your inventory at all times. She is weak early game, and she doesn't do well against poke champions, so if you're looking for someone to counter her early game, maybe try picking Syndra or Ahri into Akali, because you'll be able to poke her down in the early game and zone her from a lot of CS. So next up, I have Oriana. Pros to Oriana are she has an amazing ultimate. If you can get her ultimate off on multiple targets in a team fight, then it's going to really sway the tides of that fight in your favor. She's got great synergy with certain champions like Kha'Zix and Rengar, where she can put her ball on them and they can jump in and she can use her ultimate. She has good wave clear with her Q and her W, and she's got a pretty safe laning phase. She can stay back and farm really safely. She has good utility with her shield, with her mobility from her W and her ultimate, and she is a teamfight master because of her ultimate. You want to try to be finding team fights with Oriana if you are confident that you can land your ultimate. And she does have a really good late game. Once she picks up her Rabadons, come late game, she does a lot of damage. Cons to Oriana are she is mana hungry, so I'd recommend convincing your jungler to give you the second blue buff and probably build a tier if the lane is going well. She does require good positioning because if she doesn't, then she can get bursted down quite easily by assassins, and she needs to have good positioning to get a good ultimate off in teamfights. Next up, I have Syndra, and pros to Syndra are she is an exceptional lane bully. She can do really well, especially against melee champions, because she can just poke them down with her Q and then zone them from there. She's got good wave clear with her Q, W, and E. And she has a really easy 100-0 combo in my opinion. She just uses her Q, stuns them with her E, uses her W, ults them, ignite, and they're pretty much screwed from there. She's pretty much a press R to win champion. If you're playing against a lot of enemy squishies and you have a couple of your balls on the ground, then you can just use your ultimate, ignite, and use the DFG before that, and you're going to chunk them down really easily. She has great pick potential with her stun. It's one of the longest range stuns in the game, so you can use that really well to pick off enemies. And she can melt squishies, like I said, and also snowballs really hard. Cons to Syndra are, like Oriana, she is mana hungry, so definitely try to pick that blue buff up from your jungler come level or come around 7 minutes. She doesn't have any mobility as well, so you got to be careful about your positioning in teamfights, making sure that you're not getting caught out. And she is quite weak when behind, so if you're not doing too well in laning phase, just sit back and farm with your Q because you don't want to fall behind with Syndra. And come level 6, Fizz counters her pretty hard. well, a good Fizz player counters her because if she uses her ultimate, what a good Fizz will do is he will wait to use his E when you channel your ultimate, and he'll completely negate that damage from you. So if you're looking for a counter to Syndra, then I'd recommend playing Fizz. Next up, I have Ahri. Pros to Ahri she has really good mobility. Come level 6, she's really hard to gank, and she's just really hard to kill because of her ultimate. She's hard to pick off, and her charm is really strong if you can land it. It's a really good ability to pick off targets, and if you are good at landing your charm, then Ahri just becomes such a strong champion. She's very safe with her ultimate because she can't really get picked off when her ultimate is up. And she's got good wave clear with her Q. It's also on a pretty short cooldown, so she can just use that to clear waves really easily. She does have pretty strong poke, and her Q doesn't cost very much mana anymore after the recent buffs a few patches ago, so she can use that to poke down her enemies in lane. And she does have true damage, so she's not all that bad against tanky champions. She's also quite hard to zone in lane from CS because she can just sit back and farm with her Q. Cons to Ahri are she is skill shot reliant, so if you're not good at landing your charm or you're not good at landing skill shots, then don't play Ahri because that's the main part of her kit and that's where all of her damage comes from. So last but not least, I have Fizz, and pros to Fizz are his E is pretty OP in my opinion. It gives him untargetability, which is, he's the only champion that has that in an ability, I'm pretty sure. So it's just such a strong ability for a ultimate ability. He's super slippery. What I mean by that is it's really hard to pick him off and kill him because he can just use his E, he can dash around with his Q, and he can use Zhonya's. He's got a CC engage with his ultimate. Most champions do not have this, so that makes him really strong in that aspect. And he's hard to gank when his E is up because he can just use that to get away, and if he's got flash up, you're probably not going to be able to gank a Fizz. He's got great mobility with his E and his Q. His ultimate is his only skill shot, so if you get good at landing Fizz's ultimate, then he becomes a really simple champion from there. He's got a really easy 100 to 0 combo where he just uses his ultimate, he either E's and Q's in, and they're pretty much dead from there. And he is a super strong roamer, especially at level 6. Like Akali, if you get ahead in lane, then I would recommend roaming once you hit 6 because you'll probably be able to pick up a few kills down in bot lane. And he snowballs really hard. Once he picks up his Lich Bane and his Zhonya's, as well as his Rabadons, then it's going to be... Fizz becomes a really scary champion to play against. Cons to Fizz are he can get poked down early game. Syndra, if you can play Syndra and just poke down Fizz early game where he can't get his items, then Syndra is a decent pick against Fizz, but if you let the Fizz farm and he gets his items, then Fizz can counter Syndra really hard. So if you're looking for a champion to counter Fizz, then play a ranged champion. Honorable mentions for this patch include Yasuo, Xerath, and Zed. Yasuo is still quite a strong pick. He is a good assassin, and if he can land his ultimate in teamfights on multiple targets, then he's a really strong pick. Xerath, he's a good poke champion. If you're looking for someone who's got good poke and siege, then play Xerath. And Zed, he's also a strong champion as well. He's got really good dueling potential with his ultimate, and he's also a really strong split pusher. So that's all for the video, guys. If you enjoyed, then be sure to like and subscribe. And if you are wondering why I didn't include a certain champion on this list, then be sure to comment below asking me why, and I'll get back to you on that. But nevertheless, guys, thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video.